In this video, I'm gonna answer 3 questions I got on Instagram. Number 1, does alcohol hinder your weight loss? I think you're gonna be surprised. Number 2, what are the best pieces of home gym equipment? And number 3, in the title of this video, how to quickly lose weight without tracking your calories or macros. I hope you like the video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Let's get into it. All right, first question from k.perky_21. Does alcohol really hinder weight loss? I'm gonna break this down as simply and as easily as I possibly can. First and foremost, you can absolutely lose body fat even if you are drinking alcohol, as long as you're eating in a calorie deficit. And before I explain why, just think about this from a logical perspective, from an observational perspective. There are many people who are unfortunately alcoholics, and not all alcoholics are morbidly obese. In fact, many alcoholics are dangerously skinny. So it stands to reason that even though there are some people who are severely struggling and suffering with alcoholism, alcohol isn't preventing them from losing body fat. We understand that even people who drink way too much alcohol on a consistent basis are still not gaining body fat. With that being said, drinking alcohol can make losing fat significantly more difficult. Why is that? The reason it's more difficult is because really, number 1, alcohol has 7 calories per gram, so it's a lot of empty calories. Number 2 is it will radically inhibit your ability to make good decisions. It can actually inhibit your hunger hormones and your sensation of feeling full, which is why actually an interesting study was done where college students, one group played beer pong with water and the other group played beer pong with beer. And the group that played it with water got full way more quickly, to the point where they couldn't actually play beer pong anymore because they kept drinking the water. They got so full from the water. Whereas the group playing with beer, they never really got full. They could keep drinking because the alcohol dulled their sensation of feeling full. Now, why do people say alcohol inhibits the fat burning process? They're correct in saying that. The reason they're saying that is because when you drink alcohol, your metabolism will prioritize the breakdown of alcohol over everything else. And the reason it does this is because alcohol is seen as a toxin. It's not just seen as a toxin, it is a toxin. And your body wants to get rid of it and process it as quickly as possible. And when you're doing this, you're not burning fat. Instead, you're getting rid of the alcohol. But people are confusing fat burning with losing fat. They're 2 different things, and this is the most important thing for you to take from this discussion. Well, fat burning is not happening. You can still lose fat as long as you're in a calorie deficit. Burning fat is a form of what's called substrate utilization. It's your body using fat as energy. But during this process, your body is no longer using fat as energy, it's now gonna be using alcohol as that energy. But just because you're using that as energy doesn't mean your body can't lose fat from its fat stores as long as you're in a caloric deficit. And like I said earlier, it becomes much more difficult to lose fat when you're drinking a lot of alcohol because it's empty calories and because it lowers your inhibitions and it reduces your ability to feel full. But as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you can absolutely enjoy alcohol in moderation. All right, question number 2 is from Annie Falk. We just started creating our home gym. Is there a piece of equipment you recommend? Annie, I'm gonna do more than just one piece. I'm gonna give you my top 3 pieces of equipment, and it's really gonna be 4. And I'm gonna give them in order from like 3, 2, 1. So my most important piece of equipment will be the last one that I recommend. Tied for 3rd place, I'm gonna give you a very expensive option and a much less expensive option. So the very expensive option, this piece of equipment, I think the vast majority of people will not put in their own home gym. It's a pretty big piece of equipment. I only very recently added it to my home gym, and I've wanted it for many years, and I freaking love it. It's also very expensive, and I don't think you need this, but it's really awesome to have, especially if you love working out as much as I do. It's a dual cable pulley machine. So I have one from Life Fitness. I'm not sponsored. I wish I was sponsored. Not sponsored. I paid for it in full. I saved for many years to be able to afford this. It's an amazing piece of equipment, and you don't have to get the one from Life. I know Titan has one that's much less expensive. There are many different companies that have dual cable pulleys. It's just a wonderful, incredibly versatile piece of equipment to have. If you don't want that, but you do want something where you can actually travel with it, it takes up essentially no space. You could literally put it into a backpack if you wanted to and get a lot of similar benefits. I would say a suspension trainer like a TRX. And keeping in mind, I am not sponsored by any of these, so I'm not gonna keep saying that. I'm not sponsored. This video is not sponsored. A TRX is an amazing suspension trainer trainer tool. You can do rows with it, you can do push-ups with it, you can do stuff for your shoulders, you can do stuff for your biceps, your triceps, your core, your legs, all of it. It really does have the ability to have a tremendous amount of versatility with it. And also you could bring it with you on vacation, you could hang it up in a doorway. It's an amazing tool, far less expensive than the dual cable pulley. Obviously you can do way more with the dual cable pulley and have a way higher weight selection. I think they're both phenomenal options, and they'll tie for the number 3 spot. For the number 2 spot, I'm gonna go with a squat rack, and that goes along with a barbell and weight plates. It's so all-encompassing. It's an incredible tool to have. I have the S2 stand from Rogue. Again, not sponsored. I would love to be sponsored. It's an amazing, amazing stand. I really think that these big power racks where you have like huge cages are honestly overrated, and they take up a lot of space. The only people who I think really need those are people who are powerlifting competitively. There are advantages to them. I'm not gonna say that they're a waste of money and a waste of space, but I think they are overrated, and that's why I didn't go with that. I didn't need it taking up all that space in my gym. So I've just got the S2 stand. It's incredible. It's very light. It's easy to move around. We've already moved houses a couple times. We're moving houses again in a couple months. It's very easy to pack away, to undo, put back together, no problem whatsoever. And obviously the barbell and the weight plates, I mean, you don't really get much more versatile than what you can do with a barbell, except for what I will say for the number 1 spot. And the number 1 spot, in my opinion, is adjustable dumbbells. You could get a big rack of dumbbells if you want to, and I have recently done that. From when I was 18, I got my first pair of adjustable dumbbells. It's the only pair of adjustable dumbbells I've ever had. They're the Power Blocks. Again, not sponsored. I would love to be. Power Blocks, they are freaking amazing. They take up very little space. They're insanely durable. They can go up to as heavy as you want. What I will say though is mine go up to either 50 or 55. I forget what they are. I've trained with ones that go up to 100. They're awkward. They're so big. Like they're so big that when you get to be really heavy weights, they're getting in the way of each other. They're hitting each other. I probably wouldn't go heavier than like that 50 or 55 pound Power Block. I know there are other adjustable dumbbells as well, like Bowflex. Bowflex is easier to maneuver and manipulate. Like you can more easily get to the weight you want, but they're also more easy to break. I had a client who was doing farmer's walks with them. They just dropped and they broke very quickly, and I've heard many people break them before. Power Blocks, they take a couple seconds longer to switch, maybe like 7 to 10 seconds longer to switch the weights. Insanely durable. I've never heard of anyone having theirs break. And again, I've had mine since I was 18. I'm 33 now. They've traveled with me all over the country, no issues whatsoever. Take up very little space, the most versatile piece of equipment ever, and you can do incredible full body workouts with them. It's one of the reasons why I have dumbbell only workouts in my inner circle, because sometimes people only have access to adjustable dumbbells or dumbbells at all. If you need one piece of equipment that is relatively low cost, that is all encompassing for your workouts, it is without question the adjustable dumbbells. And I would be stupid not to put a shameless plug in for the inner circle right now. Regardless of whether you have full gym access or you only have dumbbells, we have everything you need for you, and especially if you want some dumbbell-only workouts that you can do at home within 30 to 60 minutes at most. We have almost an entire, as of the making of this video, almost an entire year's worth of dumbbell-only programs, month after month after month after month, exercise video tutorials. The entire programs are made and ready for you. Highly recommend you join the Inner Circle. The link is in the description, or just go to sfinnercircle.com and you can join right now. All right, now for the final question and the most important question of today's video: how can I build muscle and lean out without tracking my macros and calories? This is from Natalia G. Fernandez. It's a great question. I want to take my time on this. Not too much time. Let's see, I know I can ramble. If you've been here for a while, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Feel free to leave a comment, let me know. How are you doing? How are you liking the channel? If there's anything I can do for you, Mitch is over here. If there's anything that you want us to make a video on, please let us know in the comment section. How to do this without tracking calories. What I first want to say is this. Let's talk about muscle growth first. Muscle growth, and I'm not jacked. I don't have tons of muscle. I have no interest in being huge. But the truth is, muscle growth is relatively simple. You need to get enough protein, you need to progressively overload your lifting, you need to get enough sleep. That's really it. It's easier to build muscle in a caloric surplus, but you can still build muscle even if you're in a caloric deficit. So if you want to build muscle, strength train, lift heavy, get enough protein, get enough sleep. Those are the 3 most important things. From the fat loss perspective and leaning out perspective, as you put it in this comment, this is where it gets a little bit more tricky. And the way that I would phrase it to you is, imagine if someone said, how can I save more money, increase my finances without actually tracking my spending or my income? It'd be a little bit difficult, right? You'd probably say like, well, you should probably track your spending and your income. You should probably at least create some form of a budget and be aware of how much you're taking in every month and how much you're spending every month, because it's impossible to know exactly how much you're saving if you're not keeping track of that on some level. The good news is, once you make a budget and once you track it, and once you're aware of it, now you can become a little bit more intuitive with it. But if you've never tracked it before, you have no freaking clue what you're doing. You're literally operating blind. Same thing from a fat loss, muscle building, tracking macros and calories perspective. If you've never done it before, you're operating blind. So my first recommendation with you would be, you should try tracking it for 30 days. You know what, screw it, not even 30 days. Try tracking your calories and macros for 7 days, just a week. You don't even have to do a whole month, just a week. And truth be told, if you aren't willing to track your calories and macros for 7 days, are you really that interested in building muscle, losing fat, improving your health, reaching your goals? Are your goals really that important to you? Because if you're not willing to do something for 7 days, and it's not asking you to starve yourself, it's not asking you to do anything dangerous, it's not asking you to do anything that is outrageous, it's just asking you to track your intake for 7 days. That's what I would recommend. After 7 days, if you've never done it before, your entire perception of food will be different. Portion sizes will be different. Your not only your portion sizes, but your portions within the meal in terms of, okay, wow, so I was eating this much chicken, like maybe I was having this much chicken, but now I realize I actually need to increase my size to this much chicken. I thought I was only having a few, like 200 calories worth of pasta, but I was actually having 600 calories worth of pasta. Your entire perception of food will change. You'll probably cry when you see what a real serving size of peanut butter looks like. There are so many things that are gonna change just from you simply tracking your calories. If you use creamer in your coffee and you measure out the creamer, you're like, what the fuck? Like, I thought I was using 25 calories of creamer when you're using 450 calories of creamer, just because you had no idea. And these are very common things. Having nuts, like people grab a handful of nuts, they think they're having like 50 or 60 calories. They're really having like 400, 500 calories worth of nuts. Happens all the time. They think they're having some avocado. They think they're having 60 calories of avocado. They're having 300 calories of avocado. When you track your calories, even for just a week, it will completely change your perspective on what you're actually eating and what you need to do to achieve your goals. If you don't want to track your calories and macros, first track, get aware of what you're actually eating, and then from there you don't have to anymore. And I know that's not the fun answer. You probably want like the, okay, but how can I do it without doing it? Well, once you know, now you can do it more intuitively. This whole concept of intuitive eating, it's a great concept in our minds, but in reality, it's really not how it works. And people say we're made to be intuitive eaters. It's like, okay, if you want that argument, that's fine. But from when we were made, we didn't have a pantry full of food that we could access at any point in time. We didn't have a refrigerator you could go in. We didn't have all these highly palatable foods, these highly processed foods, these hypo-satiating foods. We didn't have access to ice cream and pizza and chips and donuts and all this stuff. Free access to nuts and seeds and all these things. Like, even if we're talking about fresh foods, it's still right in our kitchen. I'm looking at my kitchen through the door. Before, you'd have to go out hunting and you'd have to go out gathering and you'd have to pick and you'd have to expend energy to get all these foods. If you want to talk about what we're made for, like, that's what we're made for. So since we're not doing that, I'm assuming since you're watching fucking YouTube, you're not living that life, you have to do something that maybe we weren't made for, right? So this way, you track your calories, you get a very good understanding of what you're taking in for a week or a month, and then now you have a much better perspective and perception of what you're eating. So you can now look at a plate and say, all right, this is a much more appropriate portion size, and I know this is gonna put me in a calorie deficit. I know this is going to be a sufficient amount of protein, and I'll be able to lose fat and build muscle and get stronger with this amount. Now, if you don't know how many calories you should be eating in order to lose fat, and if you don't know how much protein you should eat in order to lose fat sustainably and build muscle and get stronger, I have a free calorie calculator. The link is in the description. You click that link, you put your name and your email in, and I will send you that free calorie calculator. Again, 100% free, and it'll tell you everything you need to know in order to calculate how many calories and how much protein you should have in order to lose fat sustainably, build strength, and get stronger and build more muscle. All right, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you soon.